Welcome to Minecraft Mechanics, episode 3. Today, wait a moment. Hey, bRanN, why are we in the same studio? Oh, well, it's been updated. Can't you tell? No, it's exactly the same. Exactly. Fine, you caught me. The crew I hired didn't exactly work out. But you got your money back at least, right? Funny story. When I fired them, they all threw their hats off in a fit of rage, and then they burst into flames. Kinda burn all the money, too. Could we just move on with the show? Yeah, sorry. So, what were we doing today? Well, today we're going to examine anvils and see what possible mischief we can cause. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Employer of the most prestigious and well-known Fungineers, GregTech Intergalactical has been able to make advances in technology far exceeding what was previously thought possible, using sustainable production methods that actually put more into the environment than is taken out. GTI is constantly making worlds better.
Call 17815-555 Bert 8715 now to speak with a GTI representative about having a GregTech facility installed on your planet. GregTech Intergalactical, taking industry to a whole new level of complexity.
Hey guys, first off, just a small aside, this episode is dedicated to Ko. Ko, also known as Co-Star on YouTube, was the actual first Minecraft video series that I ever watched. I was really into a show called Ko's Quest, and it just kind of ended way back in the day, and about 3 months ago it came back. I was so excited. After the first few episodes, he was messing around with the anvil, and he had all these questions. And all these things that he tried. He tried as best he could, looked it up, but there was still so many secrets locked deep within. Well, Ko, I'm a little late, but what can you do? Let's get started. Ko, I love your body. Was that creepy? Well, the very first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look at the anvil itself, and I wanted to try to find a way to make an anvil that won't break. The problem is, it's not a tile entity. If it's not a tile entity, then that means there's very little about the block itself that we can change. But there is one thing. Many of you know about the MCEdit TNT trick, where you can give yourself a TNT and place it, and you can set it to 46:1, and that'll make it so when you punch it, it explodes. This TNT here is just a 46:0 survival. So if we were to punch this block, it just drops like normal. If we were to punch this block, it drops like normal, and it also explodes.
Creative. Whoa, this sure is hard work. Phew.
Now you can try to give yourself 46:1 in-game. And it says it's 46:1, but when you place it, and then you were to go break it, survival, it treats it like a regular block. It kinda auto-fixes itself to what it thinks is a valid number. Well, the anvil works the same way. You have 145, 145:1 for slightly damaged, and 145:2 for very damaged. And you can place these, and you can see the different variations. But what you can't do is give yourself numbers that don't exist. So your option is to place them in the world, switch to MCEdit, select the block, and then you can change it to any variation you'd like. The problem with this is it doesn't do anything useful. It doesn't make it last longer. It just kind of It cycles through its random chance of jumping down to the next step, and then it kind of auto-corrects whatever block it's supposed to be or whatever block it thinks it might be. So we can't really do anything we'd like that way, but we could use a custom spawner using one of Seth Bling's filters to constantly spawn a falling sand entity that has the properties of an anvil. The only issue with this is it's kind of glitchy. Every so often when it tries to spawn, yeah. So it's not the prettiest. And technically the player could, survival, use this as a way to get infinite anvils, which you may or may not want. Honestly, having a lot of these blocks when you're already giving them one that's essentially supposed to last forever isn't really too overpowerful. Creative. So first let's take a look at what we can do with the anvil. We can repair and name. Something added in the newer versions is we can actually combine books to get a higher level. I assumed it would work this way in 1.4.7, and to my dismay it did not. You can also add 2 enchantments to get a book with those together, and then you can use this to place both the enchantments on an item.
Nice.
It's worth mentioning that some functions that are allowed in creative mode will not be allowed in survival, but many of the player-friendly ones are. With all the recent changes, I just had to make sure. Can we combine enchanted items? No. Sad face. However, if you're a map maker, and you prefer to do things in-game when possible, you can add enchantments using the anvil to items that normally could not have an enchantment. This is an example of something that will not work in survival mode. And of course, just about every enchantment I've added on these items is useless. So let's run some items through the repair process and see what happens to the specifics. We'll repair the stone sword all at once. We'll repair the iron sword in 2 sequences. And let's run the diamond sword through as many 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be good. 4 steps. Let's take a look at them. We're going to use the MBT edit mod, and remember the items on the list will be in the same order that we put them in here, so let's just put them in the order that will make sense to us. Stone, iron, diamond. Okay, if you're not familiar with this interface, this may look a little confusing, but this right here would be our stone sword, and it's added a tag to it called repair cost. Now remember we did this once, and it's added a repair cost of 2. Here's our iron, and we did that twice, and there's a repair cost of 4. And here is our diamond sword, repair cost of 8. We did it 4 times. 2 per time through the anvil, makes sense. It's also got our enchantment data here. While we're here, one question many people have is if you rename an item, does it reset the repair cost? Let's find out. Repair is set to 2 again. So the anvil here is not really cooperating with us. It's not really giving us a lot of stuff to mess with. We have very little we can do with the block itself aside from external traps and that sort of nonsense. I don't mean nonsense, I just mean not for use with what we're looking for here in this video. And it doesn't change the items that we run through it too much. I mean, it renames them, but we can do that with tag data. You could put mob eggs in there and rename them and hatch them, and then they'll have that name. Of course, you're going to need to set them to permanent, otherwise they're just going to despawn eventually. It does add that repair tag. What could we do with that? Well, I say the fastest way to break a system is to add negative numbers where they expect positive. Okay, well here's our diamond sword again, and we can tell because here's our enchantment. And let's change this repair cost. Let's change it to something ridiculous. Negative 99999. Save, save. Now let's finish repairing this thing. Ah, look, it's free. One problem. Something in the code decides if the enchantment cost is nothing, or in this case less than nothing, it couldn't possibly be valid, so it won't let you take the item. This doesn't matter if you're in creative, survival, or survival mode. You can't take it out. You can't. Creative. So what can we do with this? Well, we got two options. We can make it so an item costs way too much, that the player could never ever repair it at all. And we could also make it so the repair cost of an item is as close to free as we can make it, at least one time. Alright, so I've got this repair cost set to 0, and I have the damage down to 1 point of durability left. If we add a single diamond, the enchantment cost is 13. This means we could set the repair cost to -12, and you'd be able to repair it for free essentially once with 1 diamond. You could also decide that this item is going to cost at least 4 diamonds to repair, so you have to use it very close to the end, and the enchantment cost on the repair will set to -24. That way the player can only repair it if they're willing to invest more. If they invest any less, the enchantment cost total is actually going to be a negative number and they won't be able to remove the item. Let's see that in action. Let's set the repair cost to -20. Alright, so here we have our diamond stick. We had 1 diamond. It doesn't cost enough. It's not valid. We can't do it. 2 diamonds? No. 3 diamonds? Yes. Now, for 3 diamonds, it's practically free. Now, there is a way to get around this, of course. If we were to rename it, that's going to add an additional cost. So, you have to really do your math and figure it out depending on the usage you want. Now, the other thing we want to do is, say you get that super fancy Vexian sword, but he doesn't want you to be able to repair it. Now all he'd have to do is go in here, repair cost, and enter some obscenely large number. So now say you're playing one of Vex's latest maps, and you find this Vexian sword with all sorts of crazy enchantments. I know, it's just a regular looting 3. Pretend with me here. And you put it in here, and you go, oh man, this sword's so great, I can't wait to repair it. I'm gonna make it better. Bam. Ain't never gonna happen. You just...
It's not gonna work.
You're a bad Anvil. Why don't you have more options? Why? Bad. No, go away. Stop coming back. I wonder what would happen if I set motion Y to 2 and spawn count to 5. One, 2, 3, 4. Well, no one said science has to be perfect. Well, sorry there wasn't more we could discover with the elusive Anvil. It has bested us. If you liked this episode, please be sure to click that thumbs up icon. And if you have not yet, please subscribe. I'd also love to hear back from you, my audience, in the comment section below. I'll see you next video.